Well, thank you very much for this opportunity, and it's great to be with such a great panel and see so many familiar faces. Well, like you said, on behalf of the people of Venezuela, of the Bolivarian Revolution, of behalf of President Nicolás Maduro as well, we salute this conference. We wanted to participate because we feel it is very important that we stand up against this pretext of a new Cold War. If there's one region around the world that knows very well the catastrophic effects of Cold War, it certainly is Latin America and the Caribbean. For a large part of the 20th century, we were one of the main battlefields in that war. Thousands of people died, were tortured, imprisoned, disappeared as a result of Washington's Cold War tactics. Meanwhile, democracy, land reform, human rights, environmental rights, you name it, they were all sacrificed in the name of the Cold War, and international law was constantly trampled upon. We had coups in Guatemala, Grenada, Chile, Brazil, Argentina, Dominican Republic, the bloody civil wars in Colombia, in Central America, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and the criminal blockade against Cuba that it still exists. This is all stemming from that Cold War. So we have to oppose entering this new or a new environment that resembles that one. After the Cold War was formally over and the Washington Consensus took over, it devastated with devastating economic policies throughout the region, deepening the divide between those few that had everything and the many that had nothing, until the people started reacting to this and turning it a bit around. And during the last 20 years, what we've had in Latin America has been a struggle where new governments came in, new popular democracies came in, with people leaders that resembled their people and that countered this U.S. corporate dominance, trying to find an independent way, one that opened the door for regional integration, but also, very importantly, for integration with other parts of the world that we weren't accustomed to. China became then a strategic partner for Latin America because it didn't come with that Cold War mentality. It didn't approach the region, Venezuela in particular, I could speak for, as property or as possible colonies. It saw partners for shared development and shared growth. And Washington resents this because, honestly, I think it can understand that there can be other sets of values around the world that don't mimic their own. The United States has never looked at Latin America as a strategic partner, but rather always from an imperialist and from a supremacist perspective. In the 1800s, when the struggle for independence of the South American nations, Thomas Jefferson wrote about our countries, saying those countries cannot be in the better hands, meaning the hands of colonialist Spain. My fear is that they're too feeble to hold them till our population can be sufficiently advanced to gain it from them piece by piece. So this idea that we are the property of the United States is entrenched into their history, and it became doctrine. It became the Monroe Doctrine, and didn't stay back in the 1800s. It's still here today. And both of Trump's Secretary of States, Tillerson and Pompeo, have invoked the Monroe Doctrine. So has Bolton when he was in place. It's particular to say that they wanted to invoke this principle to counter Chinese presence in the region. The thing is, for us, this is really about what the U.S.'s geopolitical competition. This is an issue of self-determination. We in Venezuela, as well as any other Latin American nation, we have the sovereign right to have the relations we consider are beneficial to our people. And no Cold War logic should have a different say. And this is a matter of principle for us. What makes us worse is that we see this new Cold War building up in the middle of the huge crisis that the United States is having. And a lot of our friends have spoken about this, but we're facing this pandemic. Over 145,000 lives have been lost. More than 40 million people have lost their jobs. And it's disproportionately affecting the poor, the racially discriminated, the homeless, the undocumented workers. And so the United States seeks again to turn this into an issue with a foreign threat, and looks for China. And by the way, it's not only this administration, but you see the discourse of the possible alternative, and they're all trying to exacerbate this shady threat. we have stood up against this vision. We have stood up against this vision of Latin America as a property of the United States, and we're paying the price. And there's a constant, there's a hybrid war against Venezuela with illegal economic sanctions, with the threat of military intervention, with the attempts at diplomatic isolation, the fierce propaganda that talks about the Venezuelan democratic process, and there's no real interest in Venezuela's well-being or the people of Venezuela. If there was, there wouldn't be, blocking of food, medicine from coming in, gasoline, down to this point, as opposed to what we have with China, where with China we have a relationship of cooperation, primarily a relationship of respect. China it's been a key ally for us in this COVID-19 crisis. In the middle of this blockade, we've received help from the technical help. We have the teams working here in Venezuela to allow us to craft up our policies to deal with this. We've had aid. They've offered aid just this week with the vaccines to all of Latin America. So this is a very different concept from the Monroe Doctrine. We wish we could have a working relationship with the United States, one based on respect. But if we're going to start from the Monroe Doctrine, we're going to start from the arrogance and the aggression to think that we are their property, their backyard, is just impossible. So this is our context from Venezuela. This is why we leave. We have to fight this new Cold War. We call all nations, we call all people, all movements to stand for peace, to stand for stability, to stand for international law. We have real challenges that we must face together. We have planet that's running out of resources. We have the poverty that could still be turned around if we were somehow focused on that and not on starting a new Cold War. So from Venezuela, we are in solidarity. This is our perspective, and we are in solidarity with all people fighting against this new Cold War, and we say no to new Cold War against China or against any other people. We are here for peace and for brotherly relationships. Thank you very much.